Welcome to this module of the best year ever. Lovely to have you on, people just joining. So I'm sitting here talking to you from sunny Maldives, as promised. And some of you have just been on a workout with me and saw me in a workout gear. So I've just quickly put a nice summery dress on, but best laid plans and all that. It's actually raining in Maldives at the moment. I'll show you quickly. Still lovely, but all of a sudden, we've got some rain. Anyway, it's beautifully warm and lovely to be here to bring in the new year and to start planning 2024. So got a few hellos and lovely to see you. So this is module 9 of best year ever. When I started doing this, it was after doing quite a lot of coaching during lockdown, and it was very different, and the people that had been on our programs during sort of 20 and then coming into 2021, they'd had some phenomenal results, but it was in a different environment. It was in the environment of being in lockdown, and so they needed a different perspective as we sort of got back to normality. And we called it the new normal, but it seems like it's going back to the old normal in many cases, and people seem to have some of the same issues and problems: overworked, lacking in energy, fearful of the future, procrastinating. There's a lot of questions that you've sent me in preparation. I will get to them all. So there's always something new to say and some new perspectives to give. I thought what I would do today is to go over what I see as the main themes for 2023. First of all, the main shifts. I myself am like you, I guess, on a perpetual journey of self-development and learning. And so I'm always looking at spotting trends and, developing the way that I'm thinking. And certainly for me, there were a number of trends in 2023. I think generally people have said that 2023 has been quite a tough year. And I think there's a number of reasons for that, which I'm going to go through. But the good news is that some of the shifts and some of the trends will point us in new directions and give us inspiration to achieve new things. So we're going to go through some of the shifts, through some of the trends, and then some new actions for you maybe to consider taking, not necessarily all at once, but in your own time. I'm going to give you a sort of a little synopsis and an action plan at the end. Just having a little look at the Q&A. I can see the Q&A, so if you want to put some questions into the Q&A, please do. And I've also got someone in the team sending me information in the background as well, any questions, but I can actually see your questions here as well. So, all right then, so shifts for 2023. Feel free to drop questions in and I'll look periodically. I think, firstly, there has been a definite shift in consciousness and awakening of consciousness. And what I mean by that is many more people are thinking about what they're thinking about. There's a greater awareness of the fact that we're all energy, and the part that the energy and frequency has to play in our lives. There's a greater awareness about manifestation and the powers of manifestation and the techniques of manifestation. And there is a higher consciousness. I've definitely noticed that during 2023. And some of you would even have come across the whole concept of the lucky girl era. So I'm going to talk about that in some detail and what that means for us and how we can use it to change some of the directions that we want to in our life. The second trend is further advancements in the world of technology around longevity. And we've been talking about longevity, especially at YBMB now for the last couple of years, talking about the different aspects of longevity and, to sort of start to consider scenarios where maybe a lifespan was 150, and what would that actually mean for our life? What would that mean for us physically? What would it mean mentally? What would it mean in business? And certainly there has been some great advancements in longevity just in the last year. This is really building momentum now. The third one is that I've noticed, and you must have, is the advancement in AI. And AI has leapt forward. If you take something like ChatGPT, just in the first couple of months of it becoming available publicly, it got 100 million users. Excuse me, this is so annoying. So with AI, it's going to become something, I think, in this next year that we're just not going to be able to ignore. So we're going to talk about that. So those are the three main areas. And then obviously I'm going to layer into that some of the things that you've been asking questions about. Quite a few people have asked about the procrastination and what's sort of holding them back. So we are going to cover that as well. Let's start with awakened consciousness now, though. Let's talk about, first of all, what maybe that means to us. I said at the beginning that we're starting to think more about what we're thinking about. Only humans can do that. You think about our brain and how it's constructed. We have this thing called a neocortex, which is the sort of main part of the brain. And the front of that brain is the frontal lobe. And that does a number of things. They call it the CEO of the brain. But one of the things it does do is it quietens down the noise. It's like a volume control. It quietens the noise outside. It enables us to sort of go, to think about things like this. And we're the only creature that has this function, which comes from the neocortex. It's called metacognition. And it means that we can think about what we're thinking about. And through this mechanism, we can do all sorts of things that I've covered in earlier modules on this program. We can think about the person that we want to become. We can create our identity. And, we can think about the questions we're asking ourselves. We can address new primary questions. We can visualize. We can create affirmations, etc. But I think that there has been a shift very much in recognizing that and understanding now that it is our personality that creates our personal reality. And what do I mean by that? Well, our personality is made up of how we think, the thoughts that we think, the feelings that we have. They come from those thoughts, and then the actions that we take. So the thoughts, feelings, and actions that we take, they are what our personality consists of. And I think there's been a greater understanding now that it's because of that we can influence our personal reality. If you think about it, you can't really be thinking positive and negative at the same time. You have to choose. And sometimes, the brain wants to keep us safe, and it will take us into thinking about negative things because that's the danger to look out for. And it's almost like a comfortable thing to do. Whereas to actually focus on positive is a much more difficult, challenging thing to do, but obviously much more productive. And so this now has become part of a movement which has got the banner of manifestation, but it's much deeper than that. It is actually an understanding of the way that our brain works. And so if we can start to choose our thoughts, that will correspondingly choose the feelings, which will correspondingly help with actions. And this is how we partially how we can address procrastination. The other thing that has come about through awakened consciousness is a better understanding of the law of attraction, and the fact that we are 99.999% energy, and we are moving. Everything is moving. We may not be able to see it moving, but everything is oscillating at a certain frequency, and like attracts like. And so we attract at the level of frequency that we are. We are like magnets. And so depending on what we're thinking about, depending on how we're vibrating, we will attract that into our life. So this is linked to the thoughts and feelings and actions, because if we're thinking negative things, if we're thinking about things we're worried about, we're thinking about things that we don't want to happen, bizarrely, that is going to, because it's the law of attraction, that is going to attract to us what we don't want. If, however, we're choosing those thoughts around the things that we do want. We're focusing on how we do want to feel. We're focusing on the thoughts that we do want. We're being very, very mindful and purposeful about that. We will start to attract the things that we want. And there are some laws around that. There are some steps around that. People have started to get very practical about manifestation now. And so I'm going to go through 7 main steps of manifestation to help you layer this onto your planning. Because yes, we've been very meticulous in our goal setting, and I don't want to repeat all of the previous modules. You can go back to module 1 and you can watch all of that. But you can end up with a beautiful plan and still find at the end of the year that it hasn't materialized. And I think this is a critical component, and this is something that I think if you layer onto the work that we've already done in Best Year Ever, that you'll find that things maybe become a bit easier, and it can be sort of a part of that hidden ingredient that helps you to achieve what you want to achieve. So here's the steps. The first one, as I've said, our thoughts and our feelings, they do create our reality. Our personality creates our personal reality. So we have to shift our focus to create. We have to shift it away from fear and from running away, and we have to shift our focus on what we want to create. And linked to that is the importance of telling ourselves the truth. We have to tell ourselves the truth about what we want, because our inner spirit and our inner being knows what we really want. And so if we are putting down things in our goals, or if we're thinking about things that we, should want, there's an inauthenticity there. If we're not really writing down the things that we do want because we think that they're too big or they're too great, or we shouldn't want them for whatever reason, then there is an inauthenticity there. So one of the things, the first steps, is knowing that our thoughts and feelings create our personal reality, but then being really true to ourselves, telling ourselves the truth about what it is that we really want, being unapologetic about that, not worrying about, what our friends, family, or anything else think about it. We want what we want. The spirit wants what it wants. So just listening to our inner self and getting that down on paper. And even if it feels bizarre, even if it feels unreachable, even if it feels unreasonable, those are the things that are most likely to come to fruition, because we have this burning desire. We want what we want. So telling ourselves the truth and getting very clear on those actions is step 1 of manifestation. The second thing is to think about who the person is that would have that life, those things, or whatever it is that we put in our goals. If we already were the person who had them, then we'd have them. So there is a bit of an acceptance that's necessary there to say, well, okay, I haven't actually got the thing that I want. I'm not living the life that I want. It hasn't materialized yet. Maybe I'm not earning the money that I want to. I don't look the way that I want. I'm not as fit as I want, whatever it is. Well, then have a look at the sorts of qualities that person is and has in order to have it. So, if we take fitness, a fit person will live a fit lifestyle. They will live an athletic lifestyle. They won't dip in and out of workouts and nutrition and then go back to, default to type. They will change their lifestyle. Someone who wants to attract a particular type of relationship, they will behave in a certain way. If they want someone who's loving and giving, they will be loving and giving. If they want someone dynamic and fun and exciting, they will be dynamic, fun and exciting. If they want to earn a certain amount of money, we need to look at role models who are doing exactly that and copy what they're doing, because success leaves clues, as Tony Robbins often says. So we do attract what we are, and we need to become the person who has those things in order to start to attract them. Okay, point 3 is, and this is a difficult one, but it is doable once we know how to do it, is to stay present. Okay, so dwelling on the future, on the past, or dwelling on the future is not going to enable us to manifest in the way that we want. The only thing we really can influence is right now, if you think about it, isn't it? We can't influence the past. We can think about it, we can learn lessons from it, especially if we can look at it without emotion, then it becomes wisdom, and that's very, very useful. But dwelling on it and spending time thinking about what we should have done and how we should have been is absolutely pointless, because we're not going to be able to change that past. So the only thing worth really looking at and considering is the present. If we look at the future, we can't control things that are outside of our remit. We can hope, we can dream, we can create through our thoughts, we can visualize, but we can't actually influence what's going to happen in the future. You know, in the same way that I wasn't able to influence whether I had a coughing fit or influence the rain, although it's stopped now, it's now beautiful again. You know, we can't do that. It's actually pointless thinking about the future. All we can think about is now. What is it that we can do now to help ourselves to achieve those goals and to achieve that manifestation? So trying to stay present in what we can do now is a key skill, and to remind ourselves of this often. Number 4 is to do affirmations, and we've talked many times about affirmations in the previous modules. I've talked to you about savers, which is scribe and affirmations and visualization and exercise and reading. But the extra point I wanted to make about affirmations today is that we need to be saying them in the present tense. So again, this is in line with awakened consciousness, vibration, manifestation. We need to be saying what we are now. So I am so happy and grateful that I am fit and strong. I am so happy and grateful that I am now earning whatever the figure is. I'm so happy and grateful that I have the relationship of my dreams. Now, you know, this is, some people will say that this is not going to work on its own, and it's true, it won't work on its own. But this is part of the overall picture, that when we use affirmations, what we don't want to be saying is, I'm so happy and grateful that in the future, I'm going to have the relationship of my dreams. I'm so happy and grateful that in the future, I'm going to earn the money that I want to earn. What we want to be saying here is that in order to get the feelings, to say, I am happy and grateful that I am, and whatever that goal is. So, because as we say, I am, we feel the feelings. Let's say it with me now. I am, and you say the thing that you want, and you start to feel the feelings. And feeling the feelings raises your vibration and drives these things towards us that we're looking for. So number 5 is an interesting concept. I've done it, it works, and it's a really fun one to do. And it is to ask and believe, almost like placing an order. So, you know, sometimes it's easy to feel alone, but we're not alone. We are part of the universe. We are connected to the much wider universal picture. We are all part of the same mechanism. And so what we can do is we can put our desires and our dreams out to the universe, almost like we're placing an order. You know, if you ring up a restaurant, a takeaway restaurant, or if you go into a shop and you place your order, you place it, don't you? You know, you order it, you forget about it, you fully expect it to come. And that's what I'm talking about here, is as part of your manifestation process and part of your routine in the morning or the evening or both. We have covered routines in previous modules. What we want to be doing is to just say what it is we want. If there's a problem, just put it out there. You know, I would love this problem to be resolved. Don't stress too much about how or when, but I want it to be resolved. And just put it out there into the universe and forget about it and feel calm knowing that it is going to be resolved. So this is asking and believing and placing as if it's an order. Number 6 is visualizing. We've talked about visualization before, but this is about feeling the emotion when we visualize. So we're visualizing, we create a picture of ourselves, we create a picture of our dream life, of us doing all the things that we wanted to do, being the person that we want to be, with the people we want to be with, earning the money we want to earn, you know, being fit, strong, and living in the place that we want to live, traveling, whatever it is. But feel the feelings with it. And in order to do that, you need to go within, ideally in a meditative state, because again, getting back to the construct of our brain, this neocortex that I mentioned, it is a volume control. If we sit back, if we close our eyes, if we start to visualize, then the volume of the outside world gets drowned out. And this is what our neocortex is doing. The more I understand about the brain, the more useful it is, because you can start to connect the dots. This is, and understand why we're doing things. It's not just blind faith. There is neuroscience behind some of these techniques. And the seventh one is gratitude. We've talked about gratitude diaries before, but I'm telling you about it again now in the context of manifestation. Again, it's to conjure up these feelings. You know, if you spend even just 5 minutes listing the things that you're grateful for and just focusing on that and nothing else, you'll start to get immense gratitude. It's an elevated emotion, starting to feel truly grateful and happy for the things in our life already will just draw more of those to us. So what I would say about this whole process here, there is an awakened consciousness. So that's great because it means that, you know, mainstream media even now is starting to learn about manifestation, the power of manifestation. More and more people are talking about it. This whole raised consciousness raises the vibration for everybody. But it means as well that you're not alone, you know, and you can have this practice and you can follow this practice and you can feel I'm heartened by the fact that many other people are also doing it, and I'm getting great results from it, including myself, including many of our clients. Hopefully putting it down in some very logical 7 steps like that is going to help you. And what I would say is, you know, with those of you who are worrying about procrastination, don't sort of just do this when you remember to do it and then forget. You know, we need momentum with things like this. So how do we have momentum? You have to have a routine. Because there are days when we don't feel like doing this. There are days when we do, especially at the beginning of the year or if we're on holiday, but there are days when there's many, many things to do and we just don't feel like it. And that's where we have to have a routine. We have to have a trigger. You know, it can be something like the alarm goes off, you sit up and you go into 5 or 10 minutes of meditation. During the meditation, you're doing your affirmations, your visualization. We've covered many methods of doing this, but the main point is don't leave these things to chance, only doing them when you feel like it. It has to be a lifestyle change. In the same way as physical fitness has to be a lifestyle change, so does mental fitness, so does the process of manifestation. This is building up momentum as we do it day after day after day. So build it into your daily practice. So that's point 1 of 3 things that I wanted to cover from the trends. Have a quick look and see what the questions are, if there are any here. Yeah, I mean, people said that they want help with goal setting, and there are some fantastic modules earlier in this program that you all have access to that you can look at. And you know, I won't repeat all of the methods of goal setting here, but just to say to you to go back to the modules where we've talked about details of goal setting. It does boil down to being honest, though, with what it is that you want and breaking down goals into a number of categories so that you have a holistic view of your life. And the categories that we've used before, the 10 categories incorporate body, emotions, relationships, time, careers, money, learning, progression, spirituality, and general happiness. And, you know, and those are the 10 that I look at. And you can create goals with all of those. You can layer that on with human needs and understanding of the 6 human needs. And again, we've covered that in previous modules. And if you're looking at goals which tick all of the boxes, all the different boxes of life, as I've just mentioned, and you know that they are fulfilling at least one of the 6 of the human needs, then you know that these are authentic goals for you. And you start with that. And anyone who wants some additional help actually with goal setting, we do have a nice goal setting sort of template that we can let you have. So email admin@yourbodymeansbusiness.com at the end of this if you want it, and we can send that over to you. All right. So second area that I wanted to cover is a bit more on longevity and advanced longevity. As I've said, it's becoming more and more likely now that our lifespan will increase to 150, maybe even 200. And just think for a moment, what would life be like if we knew that we were living to 150? You know, most of us wouldn't even be a third of the way through. And so it does put a very different perspective on goal setting, doesn't it? Because it means that we don't have to panic. We don't have to rush. We don't have to get everything done this year in 2024. You know, one step at a time, build up momentum. We can do a lot by doing a little often, and often more than doing a lot in one day or in one year. So think about life as not just being the traditional 3-stage life of education and then work and then retirement, but start to think of life as a multi-stage life where we have education, we have work, then we have maybe a mini retirement, we do some more education, we do some more work in a different career, then we have a mini retirement, and then we carry on, and maybe we have 9 or 12 cycles. I mean, who knows? So that's becoming more and more common. So start to think about life as multi-stage. Start thinking about the upcoming year as just another version of you. I mean, we're all changing, aren't we? Every single year, we're changing physically, mentally, chronologically, of course, is one of the aging clocks, but it is only one aging clock. You know, we have our biological aging clock. One of my clients has just sent an update from Thailand showing that although she's 58, that her biological clock is showing at 34. So that's one clock. There's a psychological clock. How we think has very much of an impact on our age. So there are many different clocks that we can start to look at. So it doesn't have to be just chronological age. And the average child born now has over a 50% chance of living beyond 105 years old. So, and that takes into account everybody, all the levels of illness, all the levels of wealth. So if you are lucky enough to be in the higher levels of fitness and in wealth, your chances of living well beyond that are even greater. So what is happening in the world of longevity? Well, firstly, I've mentioned the aging clocks are not just chronological anymore. There is definitely a movement now to start to go to authorities and say, look, don't judge an individual by their chronological age anymore. Stop looking at their passport. Stop looking at their driving license to decide whether they are eligible for a mortgage, let's say, or something of that nature. There are many other biological age clock in particular, which should dictate some of those things. There's also been a lot of changes in things like stem cell and gene therapy. There is a concept now called the bio-curious, those who want to sort of start to experiment with their biology. You can go onto Amazon now and you can actually buy gene modification peptides that can amend things like yeast, and it can amend other components. So gene therapy was hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds, just a short while back. And just like technology, the cost of gene therapy now has massively reduced, and the timescale has massively reduced as well. Same with stem cell technology. So this is coming. This is very, very real. And there is a concept called longevity velocity, the velocity of longevity, longevity velocity. And what that means is at the moment, for every year that we're living, that we are actually buying ourselves another quarter of a year of healthy lifespan. What they believe in the next 10 years is for every year that we live, we are buying ourselves more than an extra year of healthy lifespan. So that takes some sort of fathoming, but the fact is, the longer we are living, and as long as we don't die of something stupid in the meantime, that we are heading for a much, much longer lifespan than we ever thought possible, and certainly that our ancestors ever thought possible. So what do we do? How do we make sure, you know, because if I ask people how long they want to live, they will often say, well, you know, they don't want to live beyond 100 because they have this image. If you ask them why, they have this image of being maybe, you know, debilitated, wheelchair bound, frail, not living a quality life. Their friends are not around them any longer. But if you change the way you're thinking and think, well, hang on, if everybody's doing that, if I'm as fit and strong then as I am now, if all my friends are doing the same, then of course, why would I not want to live longer? And so how do we maintain our fitness and our strength and continue to age backwards whilst all this is going on and whilst it catches up with us? Well, you won't be surprised when I tell you some of the things, but I have condensed it into 6 things again with slightly different nuance. So the first one is strength training, and it's proven again and again and again that muscle mass is absolutely critical for longevity. It is our main longevity organ. It is the recipient of sugars. So you can think about muscles as bins if you want, but muscle mass is absolutely critical for longevity. It means that we're not frail, it means that we're strong, it means that we can move around, it means that we don't fall over, and if we do, that we don't break things, because alongside strength training and muscle mass comes bone density. So strength training is critical. I still hear people say, oh, but I don't want big muscles. You know, you cannot build big muscles by accident. you get, but you do need some muscle mass. So strength training 3 to 4 times a week, just 1 hour at a time. It doesn't need to be any more than that. But if you're not doing it already, that's number one. If you look at any research on longevity, they will say strength training is number one, or if it's not number one in that research, it will be in the top 3. So don't delay and do start that. You know, we have great programs at YBMB. You can join the Platinum Partnership, and you can have access to all of our online courses, which take you right from the beginning all the way through strength training. So that's number one. Second one is diet, and basically looking for a low inflammation diet. That means basically high protein and avoiding protein poisons. So what are the poisons? Well, the poisons are sugar, processed food, alcohol, primarily. And, you know, it doesn't mean that you don't have a normal life. It doesn't mean to say that you can't go out and dine at a restaurant or eat alongside your friends. But it does mean being very, very mindful about food, eating enough food so that you can fuel your strength training, having enough carbs so that you can, again, fuel your strength training and fuel your general movement. But basically avoiding the things that we know will poison our body. I mean, this is the only body we have. Why would we want to do that? So generally speaking, a low inflammation, high protein, moderated carbs, clean diet is what we're looking for longevity. Supplements, there are obviously many thousands of supplements, but generally speaking, you can get most of them through clean food, with the addition of things like fish oil, magnesium. There is a full list of supplements in one of the earlier modules of this program. But primarily speaking, if you are, let's say, bio-curious about your biology, or even if you're sober curious, this is another term that we've heard more of this year, you're thinking about maybe giving up alcohol, you know, take one thing at a time, implement it for a bit, a couple of weeks, and then layer on something else. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. But what we do know is number 2 importance in longevity is having an inflammation-free diet. Number 3 is stress management. Stress is a killer. And why? Because if we are full of stress, then that means that our adrenals are kicking in and the body has no excess energy to do any of the cell renewal and repair that it needs to do in order to maintain longevity. Once our adrenals kick in, once we are stressed, then all our body is ready to do is to fight or flight. It is not a time to digest. It is not a time to rest, recover, renewal. And if we are perpetually in stress, then the body eventually gives in to disease because it is just not having time to look after itself. So stress management is critical. And how do we do that? Well, primarily we do it by, again, getting back to this neocortex, by quietening out the volume, by sitting back, and by meditating. Doesn't have to be for hours at a time, but it needs to enable us to go within so that our body feels safe, so that we are able then to visualize, to speak affirmations, and basically to calm our body down so that the adrenals are not kicking in, so that we're not in stress mode, so that the body can start to recover. And this needs to be part of a regular routine. Again, don't do it just when we feel like it. By all means, do it additionally when we feel like it, but keep it as part of a morning and an evening routine. Number 4, in the don't die of something stupid vein, is making sure that we are doing our blood work. So I don't know how often that you're looking at your bloods. For me, I look every single quarter. I monitor bloods. It is like having a dashboard of your body, and it can tell you things that you would never know until it was too late. So having your bloods done, and this is getting cheaper and cheaper, having a full blood panel and seeing if there are any things to be mindful of, things that are too high, too low. For me, the first time that I noticed something in my bloods, it was very, very high iron, and it turned out that I had a hereditary form of hemochromatosis. And without knowing that, I would have had very, very high and dangerous ferritin and iron levels, which ultimately would have caused death. So, and that was purely from having a routine blood test. So that, together with blood pressure and the minimum medical things that you can do for your body, do that every quarter, and make sure that there is nothing there that you wish that you'd have found sooner. Number 5 is sleep. We know that sleep is absolutely critical for us. If it wasn't, then we wouldn't need to sleep, because sleep, when you think about it from a human point of view, while we're sleeping, we can't collect food, we can't be mating and reproducing, we can't really, we're pretty useless when we're asleep. So if we didn't need it, we wouldn't do it. We do need sleep. And try before going to bed. And again, we have a big section on sleep hygiene in this program. But before going to bed, try to go over to books instead of screens, or audible, and just let the body drift naturally off into sleep. Last thing to say on this is that I do have a full scorecard of over 100 pointers for longevity. We call it this longevity scorecard. I've developed it over the years. My interest in longevity has spanned a number of years now. I was at a longevity conference in Montenegro, beginning part of 23. And that covers a multitude of things for you to do. I've just sort of given you the highlights here, but it will give you a detail on supplements, detail of diet, a detail on strength training, and all of the other things that I've mentioned. So it's a full longevity scorecard, and you can get that if you email us. We'll tell you exactly how to get that. It's admin@yourbodymeansbusiness.com. Again, I would just finish this section by saying, put yourself together a routine. Identify what the stresses and triggers are for when you do go into stress mode, when you don't, do your strength training, when you miss training, when you don't maybe do the nutrition that you want to do, and have a routine around that. And that will help with procrastination. All right, the third section then that I want to look at, let me just see if there's anything else in the Q&A here. All right, we'll cover that at the end. Let me see. Okay, so this third section I want to talk about is in business, AI domination, I've called it. I don't know how much or to what degree you've been influenced by AI so far, but it has absolutely run apace during 2023. And as I said at the beginning, and in 2024, it's going to be even faster. That's the prediction. As I said, the ChatGPT, which is sort of the most public of AI systems, had 100 million users in just 2 months. What I was really interested to see is that ChatGPT was used to pass exams. It passed in the beginning part of this year, the Wharton MBA final exam. That was in January. It passed the US medical license exam in February. It passed the radiological board exam in May. And it passed the bar exam, the law bar exam, qualifying it as a barrister in July 23. And in addition, a whole range of advanced exams such as art, history, biology, psychology, physics, calculus, chemistry. So this thing can pass exams. And what would typically now qualify someone, we've got a plane just coming in. Let me just show you. Hold on. See that? A little bit noisy. And what would typically qualify someone to be a leader in somewhere like Harvard or Stanford now is actually all contained within this one system. And as someone put it, if we were to, just going to bear with me for a moment, in case you can't hear me. Someone said it looks lovely. It really is, actually. It's beautiful. But as someone put it, if you were to compare the intelligence of Einstein with a housefly, that's comparing the intelligence of a human being with AI. So, the chasm is growing. So what does that mean for us in business? I'll just tell you another little bit, which is that the advancement of robots is obviously apace as well, powered by AI. And someone called Steve Brown actually created a robot called Haley. You may have heard of it. And he had a conversation with Haley, the robot, and asked her about her transformative purpose. And this is what she said. She said, to empower human potential by seamlessly integrating advanced artificial intelligence while continuously exploring and expanding my own consciousness. So I actually did a talk in 2019 to about 6,000 people. And Haley, the robot, or one of her predecessors, was actually on the stage at that same event. And it was absolutely fascinating. She was interviewed by the commentator there, and had a very, very coherent conversation. This is a few years ago now. What they're saying now is that it would take a team of hundreds of super talented engineers and billions of dollars to do something that that single robot can actually do. So what happens in the future if AI is smarter than human beings? Hoping that that aeroplane will quieten down in a moment. But the question is, are they going to be our greatest threat, or are they going to be our savior? And there's lots of different theories. There's a great book actually that you might want to read called Scary Smart by Mo Gaudat. And he writes a really great book where he says that one of the scenarios is that, we can create utopia if you have a whole load of robots like Haley who are looking to ultimately become humanity's greatest hope. Then we're heading for some wonderful, wonderful times. But the theory is that AIs are like children. And if you think about children, they need to be taught rather than forced, don't they? With children who have lots and lots of potential, we can teach them ethics, we can teach them values, we can teach them how to do things, we can teach them humanity, love, compassion. But a misguided child can learn things which will take them into very poor cycles. And if they come from backgrounds where there is crime, cruelty, abuse, then they will very often repeat those cycles. So at the moment, there is a movement to try to curtail what AI and robots is able to do, but it's gone too far from everything that I've read. We're not able to do that. So instead, the focus needs to be on actually mobilizing AI for good and mobilizing it for our business. But I wanted to give you that bit of background because, we can't ignore the advancements of AI much longer. And some of you may not be ignoring it already. You may have already implemented it into your business. Tying it into longevity, what we are seeing is things like you'll have a human doctor and an AI robot working in a booth who will be able to, combined, actually diagnose things like heart disease better than any doctor on their own ever could. Looking at some x-rays of broken bones and being able to identify without a shadow of a doubt where the breakage is, where the fracture is, and what treatment needs to be done. So there's so many amazing potential utilizations of AI combined with human beings. So what are our actions? What should we be doing, and how should we be layering this into our planning? Well, firstly, my message here today would be to not ignore it, to take more of an interest in it if it's something quite new to you, to start to read around the subject, and to be thinking in your business and your job, where could I start to use AI? At the very least, if you haven't used it, have a look at ChatGPT. I've heard some people talking about posts and things like that being created in a very derogatory fashion and saying, oh my goodness, they only use ChatGPT, but that will become the norm. So I would say lean into it. Don't ignore it. Don't, in much the same way as social media, a lot of people wanted to ignore social media until they just couldn't anymore. Lean into it, analyze the utilization in your business or your job, as I've said, and start to think about where it could be useful in life. So that's the three big trends that I've identified for this last year, and hopefully that's helped you with your planning and helped you to think about some new things. I'm going to do a summary for you now, and then I'll get on to any other questions that I've not covered. So the first one I would say is that you can actually write a playbook of your life. It needs to be authentic. It needs to be genuine. It needs to be what you really, really want in order for it to happen. We've all had that feeling when we've really wanted something, when we're obsessed about it. And generally speaking, we get it. It comes true. So that's what needs to be, is pointless putting together a list of goals, a list of objectives that are someone else's, or something that you think needs to be the you. You need to be, true to yourself and create your own playbook. Tell yourself the truth about what you want. Um, Routines are critical. If you haven't read Atomic Habits, then please do, or even go and revisit Atomic Habits, because it's a great book to help to create tools and structures and to avoid procrastination. You do need to have routines. You need to have them in body, in mind, and in business. What you have here is in the modules of this, all of the techniques for creating a routine. If you go onto the Platinum membership, you will see that there are a whole variety of other different programs as well. There's a meditation program, there's a body program, there's a careers program, but all of these enable you to do routines around those particular subjects. You need routines because and we need to have specific times to do stuff, because otherwise the day just runs away. And here in Maldives, the days have just frittered away. And it's amazing how quickly time can go when you're not doing very much. And this is what happens when we get into real life as well. We can be full of great intentions for the first month or so, and then life takes over. We're not in control anymore. And then we get to December and we wonder why we've not advanced, or we've advanced maybe not in a direction that we wanted. So we've got to have times to do stuff and stick to those times, and don't overthink it. Really stay in the present. Don't think about the past. Don't think about the future. Just take each day as it comes, have your routine, and implement it. I'll come on to accountability in a moment. In fact, I'll come on to it now, because it's all very well me saying that, and these are the tools and techniques. But when no one is watching, when no one cares whether we do something or not, it becomes even harder, doesn't it? For some reason, us humans are programmed to do more for others than we would for ourselves. So get accountability partner. Now, of course, that can be us through the Platinum membership, and we will keep you accountable in a number of different ways to make sure that you are actually sticking to the things that you said that you wanted to stick to. But also you can have accountability partners with your loved ones, with your friends, with your family. That can be a double-edged sword. If they're on the same page as you and they want to do the same things, they can very much help you to follow the trajectory that you want to. If they're not, though, then they can be pulling you back and pulling you off course. So pick your accountability partners carefully. The next thing I would say is avoid media and distractions. Reduce that noise. Remember the neocortex that we have. Remember our ability to have volume control, to drown out the noise. Have a little look at the notifications that you have in your phone. Have a look at who you're following online, and just delete things that are not going to be helpful to you going forward. You find it a distraction. You find that you spend more time on social media than you wanted to if you're following them. Delete notifications from things like Sky News and Bloomberg and things of that nature, BBC News. Just go to the news when you want to find it, but delete the notifications. So drown out the noise as much as you can. I'd also say put reminders everywhere. If you're really, really looking to achieve a goal, you want to remember it. If there's a particular type of client that you want, particular amount of money, a type of partner, a level of fitness, whatever it is you want, have these little post-it notes and stick them in places where you are going to see them. You want to have this goal uppermost in your mind 24 hours a day if you can, but at the very least have it dotted around so that you remember what it is that you said that you wanted. Avoid poisons that sabotage your progress. And I've talked about media, and that can be regarded as a form of poison, but certainly avoid putting poisons into your body. And if you are thinking maybe about stopping alcohol or stopping processed foods, try and do one thing at a time. And there's no need to completely eradicate, but just slow it down. Don't sabotage the one and only vehicle that you have that may need to last you 150 years, who knows. Get yourself a scorecard, something that you can just tick off every day as you go through your day. I definitely use a scorecard. We have a longevity scorecard, as I've mentioned. You can modify one of those if you want to, but have a scorecard, something that you look at. I suppose just to end on, you can change anything. You really can. You don't have to do it all in one go. You can do one thing at a time, but you can change anything. And although you don't have to do it all in one go, why wait? Take the bull by the horns, decide the thing that uppermost that you want to change, or make happen, and do it now. Why not? The time is going to pass anyway, so start to do it now. I'm going to look at your Q&As. Yeah, someone's mentioned here about increasing their income this year. How do I manifest that when I can't see a way to do it? And should I be looking at AI then? I mean, part of the manifestation trick is to not think too much about how, but to be very clear on what it is you want, very clear on your actual income goal, put it out there into the universe, visualize it, get the feelings of it, do the affirmations around it, and of course, take the inspired action. So I'm not saying just say that you want something and then just sit there. Do your work, take the actions, do the posts, do the meetings, do the work that you need to do the applications, get the jobs, etc. Propel yourself forward, but you'll have feelings as to what the actions need to be, and follow those hunches. Oh, I should just call someone. I really haven't spoken to so-and-so for a long time. Make that call. I think I'll just do an email. I could just email that person. Do that email. I could go for that meeting, but I'm not sure if I should or not, or if I want to or not. Go for the meeting. So this is the sort of hunches that I would strongly suggest that you follow, but have the desire uppermost in your mind, which is, if it's a particular figure for income, have that clear, but don't over worry about the how, but just keep taking the inspired action. Certainly don't rest on your laurels. And in the second part of that question, should I therefore lean into AI? Absolutely. I really, really think that the next billionaires are going to come from AI-related technologies. There will be, I'm pretty sure, an AI analyst in every single company this coming year. In the same way that we didn't have jobs like, digital media production, content manager, etc., before. We will now see these new jobs. We will see these AI jobs. So lean into that, even if you're in law, in finance, in marketing, whatever it is you're in, lean into the AI side. Start to read around it in your area. What else have we got here? Okay, well, I can't see any other questions. I did actually get sent some, so let me just see what else there are. Hold on. Second income stream, where should I start? Well, I think I've mentioned a number of things already, but go with where your passion is. What is it you're interested in? If you're not sure, look around your desk, look about the things that, the books that you read, the things that you listen to when you're not working. What is your go-to? What do you go and watch? That will be your passion. And then whatever that passion is, type that into something like LinkedIn and jobs, and see what jobs come up which have that word in, and you'll start to see the sorts of industry areas that maybe you could develop a second income on. But follow your passion, and then follow the steps for manifestation. How can I tune into my intuition more to guide me in the right direction this year? I think going within, quietening the brain, as I said, using this wonderful brain that we have to get into the feelings, closing your eyes, drowning out the external noise, having a meditation practice where you do visualize what it is that you're looking to achieve, and feeling the feelings of having that. And that is how you will then start to get the intuition and the steps to take. We've covered procrastination, wanting to feel more aligned and step into my future vision more for myself more easily. I mean, we all know what the path of least resistance is, don't we? We know when we want to do this or that, so that the body knows. So I think what I'm saying, my overriding message for 2024, besides the things, but the advancements in technology with AI and longevity, is to listen to yourself more, listen to that voice. If you did know what it was that you needed to do, what would that be? The more you listen, the more you'll be surprised that your inner voice does know. And this inner voice is not just a mystical thing. It is actually a gathering of all of the experiences that we've had, but also the experiences from our DNA, the experiences from our ancestors as well, all condensed into our own being now. And this is where our inner voice has wisdom that we don't even know if we don't ask it. So don't ignore your inner voice. Listen to that inner voice, and you will be surprised at the answers that it gives you. Okay, well, I think I'm going to call an end to this call now. My apologies for the coughing at the beginning. Like I say, best laid plans and everything. I did have COVID at the end of the year, despite everything I do with my own physical health and fitness, my own meditation. We are at the end, we are just human beings. We do have to take care of ourselves. We do have to be kind to ourselves, and just to follow the routine. If we do get ill, then to look after ourselves, to give ourselves rest and recovery, and then go back into what it is that we're trying to achieve. So, but yeah, despite things not going to plan, we can make amazing advancements. Not going to plan is actually quite an exciting concept as well. We never know what's going to happen, and all we can do is be our very, very best self and be clear about what it is that we want, and to draw that to us with the methods that we've mentioned. I hope this has been really helpful, and I look forward to hearing any feedback that you have. If you've got any further questions, like I said, email admin@yourbodymeansbusiness.com, and it's been lovely talking to you. We do actually offer corporate programs. I'm just about to start with one of the biggest household names in the UK. In the next couple of weeks, a large corporate program for them. And so if you're interested in us coming to see you in your business and to really look at your team and maybe turn them around in terms of their performance, the way they think, the way they look after themselves physically, the sorts of technologies that they're looking at, then please do reach out. And also, if you are interested in any private coaching, then again, we do bespoke offerings for private coaching as well. It depends really what you need, but it is all leaning towards helping you to improve your performance. So I will leave it at that. Lovely speaking to you, and bye-bye from me and from the Maldives, and wishing you a wonderful, wonderful 2024. Thanks for listening.